I got a lot of people in new construction because that was kind of the incentives. That was the thing to do. But they were the first people to call me when they were trying to sell it. And
absolutely,
I would say probably 80 to 90% of those did not go back into new construction.
So Eric, I'm so glad that you came to visit us today. But in closing, like a seller, they'll come to me and they'll say, well, I want to sell my home, but it's going to cost me so much money to get it ready to sell. If a seller came to you, what would you tell them would be the most bang for the buck in getting their house ready to be sold?
Well, seller consultations are great, but I think it's, I always talk about, there's a lot of P's that I talk about, which is paint, photos, and personal photos, pressure washing. So decluttering is such a big thing. Paint decluttering is usually half the battle.
Do you always suggest that they do something called staging? Staging,
in some scenarios, absolutely. If it's vacant or they're going to have their items out of it, 100%. You have to.
If they're still furnished, if they're still living there, would you have it staged?
I'm always back and forth on that.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah, there have been times where I think that the decor would somewhat deter people from buying because of the decor. Yeah.
Explain that one.
Well, I think that there's a trend of what people like color wise and how the look of a home is, and so I've had where there's been, I wouldn't say, I'd say gaudy furniture, and taking a little bit of that out. And maybe replacing a little bit of stuff in the house has helped. So yeah, I mean, there's instances where we can suggest that. Sometimes that's a hard conversation. But
I can imagine. I know I sold my home out in Salina. I moved from Texas after my dad passed away, or moved from Tyler after my father passed away, and I bought a home in Salina, but it was a really big home. It's too much for me to do by myself. So I moved into it, paid top dollar, sold it within 8 months. Took a beating on it, however. So the agent that I had used at the time, she wanted to stage my home. I'm like, my home's beautiful.
Yeah.
Why would you want to stage this? And because it was a minimalist, but it's turn of the century Asian antiques.
Okay.
So, and she's like, well, not everyone's into Asian antiques.
Right.
So they may think this is an Asian house. So therefore I'm shabby chic, or I'm country, or I'm whatever it is. And so that she hired someone to come in and stage my home, took all of my stuff out of all my wall stuff. I mean, it was so crazy. And then she put in this stuff. It almost looked like modern stuff.
Yeah.
I'm so not a modern person, as you can imagine, coming into the antique stuff, right? And so, and it took them all day. They took off my pillows, my shams, my comforters, all my pillows, my art, everything. So I came in, I'm like, holy crap, this looks absolutely awful. They had these like brass thing, I had these things that came out of the palace over in Asia, and they replaced it with these little $100 windows that had brass frames around them, and they put them up there, and I'm like, this is so incredibly tacky. I kid you not. So I called my real estate agent and said, I'm not feeling this. This looks so tacky. And so we had a couple showings, had no offers on it. I kid you not. I took out all of that really Art Deco-y stuff and put back my traditional stuff. Not all of it, a little bit of it, just to make it look homey and bring it, kind of make it look like a place you wanted to be, not like you wanted to run from it.
Yeah.
Coincidence? I don't know. First person who came in and saw it, I had an offer that night.
That's amazing.
So is it a coincidence that it was the decor?
Right.
I don't know, Eric, but it's kind of an interesting question.
It is. I think, again, in anything that we do, we want to reach as many people as possible. So there are marketing tools as staging, and we're trying to catch the eye of the masses of what's trending, because I remember 90s and 80s, it was greens and oranges, right?
Yeah, I wasn't feeling that.
And I think it turned into like browns and tans, and now we've gone through the stage of like grays and blues now, and so
what is it now? What do people want to see now?
It's still all over, I think. I mean, I'm still seeing a lot of grays. White and black is a big thing right now. So
I'm not opposed to white.
Very subtle and I wouldn't say plain, but like very minimalist. Yeah. So I think you're starting to see a lot of that. So I know my wife, she wants to paint our house white and black now too. So I think
I hope you're going to let her do that, because if she ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
Can't say no.
Just for the
I won't say no to her.
record. Just for the record. Well, that wraps up our podcast for today, guys. I'm so glad you were here. We have so much more to cover, but we'll do that next time. Until then,